I like what John says when he says, when they heard, they went. Those are the kind of people I like to be around, quite frankly. I consider it like a prophetic community. When I see it, then I'll believe it, or when I see it, all the other Gospels all show the people, when they saw him coming, then they reacted. In John's Gospels, when they heard he was coming, let's go. That's all I need. Faith comes by hearing. That's all I need. Just give me a word. I heard it, I'm off. I'm ready. That's good enough for me. If that thing bears witness with the Spirit in me, we're out of here. We're gone. But he hasn't. I got the word. He's coming. Let's move on. We said new life means a new lifestyle of worship. New life means a new vehicle with a new driver. Scene 3. The Greeks arrive, and their desire is to see Jesus. But the Greek word for wish, when it says we wish to see Jesus, is more that when you wish upon it. It's not like that kind of thing. That word wish is like them saying, we have decided we're going to see Jesus. It's a very firm, it's not a wishy-washy kind of thing, which is why you see, Philip and Andrew, everybody's responding. These guys, they don't just want to see Jesus, they said they're going to. They're determined to see Jesus. Great line. It comes a bit unexpectedly. The way John throws it in there, it comes a bit unexpectedly. It seems like it's even a little bit unexpected to Jesus in some respects. Seems like it. Something unexpected. A bit like John began his gospel. Remember in John 2, when they run out of wine at the wedding? It's something that's unexpected. So John is doing these things back and forth throughout his gospel. But Jesus does not address the Greeks. He talks to the boys because he's clear what the hour is. In chapter 12, verses 23, 24, anybody who's got it?
But Jesus answered them, saying, the hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Most assuredly I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain.
And John makes it clear that he's talking to us about the cross a little further down. But he says, now my soul is troubled. He says, Father, save me. Should I say save me from this hour? But for this purpose, I came to this hour. This is the hour. It's the beginning of the hour that John's been talking about through his whole gospel. And the question is a very powerful one. I do not believe that there's anything in there that shows that Jesus was having second thoughts, as some people say. I don't believe that at all. I believe Jesus is showing us, every one of us in this room, there is a purpose of God in our lives, and it's not always the thing that we would like to do. That's the most pleasurable thing to do, the thing that we want to do. It could be something as simple as stopping a car because somebody has a flat tire. I just can't be bothered. But God is saying, but for this purpose, I had you drive by that person. You the man. I just see this situation in the context of when we respond to the hour, when we respond to the purpose. It's not a matter of God, get me out of here. It's God, be glorified in the purpose that you've set before my life in this hour. Father, be glorified. He's encouraging us. He lets us know what his mission is, going into the ground and dying. And he's saying that it's also for you, by the way. If you're not willing to go to the village opposite you, if you're not willing to die, then you will abide alone. It's not a threat. It's a reality. But an amazing thing happens. The potential that God has placed in all of our lives, his plan and purpose for our lives, when we give over to him and go into the ground, into this earth, just like he came to the earth, we go into the earth, much is produced as a result. Jesus recognized that this is the hour for me. It's kind of interesting because we see Jesus made it clear a couple chapters earlier that no man takes his life from him, he lays it down. Nobody's taking it. Nobody can take it. There's no sin in his life. Death has no authority over him. He's saying, I'm submitting to it. I'm giving myself over to it. It can't take me. There's nothing for it to get hold of. There's nothing for the enemy to get hold of. I'm laying it down as the good shepherd. And all these words that John is using, we see the good shepherd, we see the Lamb of God, and it's like, well, which is he? And it's like, yes, tremendous demonstration of love, revealing the Lamb of God as the good shepherd. Verses 28 through 33, we're still getting to what a new life means.
Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came out of heaven. I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. So the crowd of people who stood by and heard it were saying that it had thundered. Others were saying, an angel has spoken to him. Jesus answered and said, this voice has not come for my sake, but for your sake.
Father speaks for the third time. There was 2 other times that he spoke audibly over Jesus. And Jesus makes it clear, this was not for my sake. This was for yours. What we're actually looking at here, this scene 3, at least what I'm presenting for tonight, is that new life means new judgment. And what I mean by that is that Jesus is demonstrating something to us that is so unlike the first Adam, so unlike the first creation, if you would. He is showing us a judgment that he's actually determining what the Father is doing, what needs to be done, what he's going to do, and it does not line up at all with what normally operates inside of us. But what normally operates inside of us has died. And that means that that judgment that we used to use about other people, about situations, is gone. It's old judgment. It's worthless. There's a new judge in town. And the new judgment says things like mercy. The new judgment doesn't say things like, well, they did this, they're just getting what they have coming to them. Where'd you get that from? Not you. Where does that come from? That is not gospel. Grace is gospel. It's when you don't get what you have coming to you. That's the new judgment. The old judgment says, this is what's supposed to happen. Well, they did this. The whole thing. No. None of that matters. God loved the world. The Lamb of God takes away the sin that you all have partaken of. The sin, the egocentric man that everything pops out of. Murders, hatred, and you name it. It all pops out of there. That is the sin right there. The heart of the sin. The heart of man that Jeremiah says things like deceitfully wicked. The heart right there. And the new judgment says, I know you're not innocent, but I'm going to treat you like you are because I love you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to put you down. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to myself. There's a new judgment that actually looks at the situation, looks at people, and makes a determination. I will show mercy. Jesus has been saying this during his ministry. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. He said it twice. He sent them away and said, learn about that. You guys are the leaders of Israel. Can you learn this message? It's not that hard to learn. It's harder to apply if you're still operating under the old life. Then you can't do this. But when you're operating in the new life in the Spirit, new judgment, it flows. It just flows. There is now no condemnation. None. Woman, where are your accusers? There are none. I know. In the new life, there are none. And the ones who come and try to accuse, I dismiss. Go your way, walk in the Spirit. Because if you walk in the Spirit, you can't sin. If you don't sin, there'll be no separation between you and your brothers and sisters, and no accusations will be able to be brought against you that you're going to have to work at. There's a new judgment that Jesus is demonstrating to us. And he makes clear that they understand the Father has now spoken for your sake. And what he's saying is this: I have glorified it and I will glorify it. I have been in the glorifying business all of your life. And I know you haven't seen it, because in the old life you're blind as a bat. You're spiritually blind, you don't see it. But I'm telling you this: if you think that I wait until you bow the knee to me, so to speak, and now I can be glorified, you are so wrong. I have been glorified all along. When you were a baby, little baby, I was being glorified. When you first learned how to walk, I was being glorified. Every day, all the time, I was being glorified. And I will continue to be glorified. There's only an enemy that comes along and tries to rob us of that truth that says the exact opposite. And as we read this passage, we find out actually he's the one who is being judged. So let's read 31, 32, and 33, because those are important to what I'm saying now.
Now judgment is upon this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all men to me. But he was saying this to indicate the kind of death by which he was to die.
And let's just try to flush your brain of all the stuff that you've heard about Jesus judging the world. You guys are all, you're in it now, boy. And stop and listen actually to what he's saying. The first thing he says is, judgment is upon this world. He's made it clear repeatedly. What is his judgment? Mercy. See, we think in terms, because the enemy's got our heads so twisted and screwed up, we think immediately, but see, Steve, he's saying it right there. He's judging the world. We can look at 10 other passages that say, actually, I'm not judging the world. You think the way I'm judging the world. Judgment is upon this world. You know what my judgment is? Grace and mercy. End of court. We're done. That's my judgment. I've made my decision. Now you say, well, how do you get that from that? Because he's going to say in a minute, if I be lifted up, I'm going to draw all men to me. Okay, well now we've got a bit of a problem. If he's judging them and condemning them and throwing them all into a lake of fire someplace, but yet he's drawing them all to him at the cross, you can't have both. You're going to have to decide which one is he doing. Is he drawing all men to himself? Is he actually doing that like he said he is? Or is he drawing some men to himself? Because he didn't mean all, even though he says all. He didn't mean all. He meant like mostly, because he already judged the world. In between is a very important thing. He says, now is the judgment of this world. Here's my judgment.
Now the ruler of this world will be cast out.
So who's being cast out? The ruler of this world. Who? the ruler of this world. I've passed my judgment. My call is mercy and grace. Every great man and woman throughout history has understood this, that his message, his judgment is grace. The ruler of this world, he's finished. He's thrown out.